Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about something that is mentioned a lot but is often misunderstood, and that is carbon sequestration. Now, in this case, sequestration just means locking something away and keeping it that way. Living organisms like plants and animals are made of carbon. Over millions of years, the buildup of plants and animals and other organic material is what we believe has created fossil fuels like coal, oil, and natural gas. Oil, for example, is thought to be the result of millions of years worth of organisms in the ocean, especially like algae and plankton and other forms of microscopic organisms, building up in the seafloor after they die. Then when they get covered by sediment, millions of years of pressure and moving around is thought to have what has created oil. So essentially what that is carbon that's then been trapped under the Earth's surface over millions of years. So when we burn fossil fuels, what we're actually doing is digging up carbon that's been locked away under the Earth's surface. Now that carbon has been the result of millions and millions of years of sequestration. So when we burn fossil fuels, what we're actually doing is releasing that carbon into the atmosphere at a rate that the ecosystem and the atmosphere is not used to. The increased amount of emissions that are in the atmosphere sort of acts like a blanket for the Earth, increasing the global temperature. So you might hear a lot of people talking about technologies that are carbon neutral, but this actually doesn't mean that they are trapping away carbon. That's carbon sequestration. And the IPCC, which is the peak body, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, they only consider carbon to be sequestered if it's locked away for 70 years. And even that isn't considered to be enough to actually have a serious effect on the world's atmosphere over millions and millions of years. So when something's called carbon neutral, what that actually means is that the emissions that it creates in its lifetime are sort of offset by the emissions that it sucks out of the atmosphere when it is created. So what does that mean? Well, think about a tree. When a tree grows, what it's actually doing through photosynthesis is trapping away carbon inside it to make its body. The wood, the leaves, all that sort of stuff is made out of carbon. If you then burn the wood, what you're actually doing is burning and releasing into the atmosphere the carbon that has been sequestered by that organism. So over the period of its lifetime, the same amount of carbon that's been trapped inside it is then released. So it is carbon neutral. It's for this reason that algae technologies can actually be considered carbon neutral. Companies around the world are creating biofuels out of algae. Now, these biofuels actually act pretty similarly to petroleum. You can burn them in your car or in regular combustion engines. But the reason that they're considered carbon neutral is because instead of digging up carbon that's under the Earth's surface, they're actually recycling carbon that's in the atmosphere. When you burn the fuel created by the algae, the emissions that are released are the same as the emissions that have been captured by the algae when you grew it to make the fuel.